My background has been peppered with pain, devastation, loss, self-loathing, and most of all, fear. I would love to say that all of those things stopped once I found Christ. I would love to be able to say He healed me completely and that I no longer struggle. But my story is not that. I was not brought up in a Christian home. I had a childhood that was more than awful. I got married as soon as I could, as a means of running away from home. However, that was just jumping from the frying pan into hell on earth. Throughout my childhood and early adulthood, I'd been abused in every way possible. I had very little hope, and I suffered from depression. During a difficult season of my life, I was invited by my best friend to a church, a fundamental independent Baptist church. I walked the aisle and accepted Christ as my Savior, and I was baptized. I began to change, but my circumstances didn't. God taught me so much during that time, and to be frank, I love the rules. I love the ability to check off all the boxes and know exactly where I stood with God. The ensuing year was filled with so much grace and hope, but a lot of hurt as well. Despite my earnest prayers and trusting God to change things, my husband didn't change. But what did change was my trust in God. After years of an abusive marriage and attempts to reconcile, I ended up alone again. This time with 3 sons. My faith was tried and tested. I had to learn how to walk out this Christian life trusting in His grace, not in the rule book. No longer bound by the rules of fundamentalism, but finding freedom to move on with my life. Then I meet a wonderful Christian man. He loves me and my boys. We got married and we're attending church faithfully, and we were blessed with 1 more son. I thought my days of depression and sadness were over. I thought I was finally going to have the life I deserved. I thought that. But the next several years were filled with so much hurt. Church hurt, family struggles, and marriage struggles like you wouldn't believe. Seasons of living in sin, and even a season of the worst depression of my life. I was despaired of life on a daily basis. It was only by the grace of God that I'm still here. I think that depression is such a touchy subject for the church today. There is so much shame involved in admitting it because a lot of Christians feel like if they are depressed, they must be in sin. And they worry about judgment from other Christians, so they don't reach out and confess their struggles. In 2014, my husband and I had been living as roommates for around 5 years. So finding Church Project, it was like water to our parched souls. We immediately got into a house church and started the difficult journey of becoming part of a community. We've been given opportunities to serve through Mercy House, Project Kids, discipleship, mentoring, and we found Marriage Revolution in Hans Mulgraf. We started putting the pieces of our shattered marriage back together. We've grown more in the past 15 months than we have in the past 7 years. Our marriage is filled with joy once again, and we have a community of authentic believers for the first time in our marriage, people we can count on. We have a port in the storm. And believe me, the storms are still raging. Even though times are so tough right now, we have a peace and a purpose like never before. It's from the depths of despair that God brings His resurrection into our lives. I love hearing the stories and watching how God has worked wonders in the lives of those around me. They excite me and inspire me to share my story. I have said that I don't even wish my story had a fairy tale ending, because I would so much rather God bring beauty from the ashes of my life, make me useful for Him, and more able to help His people than to have a happily ever after. That's what heaven is for.